Life hack number 2. Peeing on the electric fence. Why do we do what we know will hurt us? Well, Life Hacks is where we take a snapshot of some of the lessons in my Finding Traction course, a 1-year course that helps people find momentum, recovery momentum away from porn and towards the life and relationships that they truly want. Today's question is simple. Why do I do what I don't want to do? Or, why do I do what I know will hurt me? You know, when I was a kid, I had to figure things out the hard way. I won't say I was the smartest kid out there. You know, someone told me don't, in the middle of the winter, don't put your tongue on the stop sign, which I did and lost a good portion of the skin on my tongue. I don't know why I did that. Somebody told me never pee on the electric fence. I was a farm kid and we had electric fences everywhere. So sure enough, I dropped my drawers and tried to pee on the fence, thinking there's no way that electricity can travel, over distances through pee. I sure found out the hard way. Why did I do those things? Well, over time, I did learn my lesson. And we always just, when the city kids showed up, we always tried to get them to do it. But, there is something about childhood, where we probably wish we could take back some things. So many guys I talk to say, I started looking at porn, or it could be other things like drinking or smoking or something, thinking it was no big deal and I could always stop. And now I find later in life, these things are embedded. I try to get them out of my life, but they keep coming back. I used to walk to school when I was a kid. It was about a half a mile, and I had this dog that would always follow me. And you would turn and you would yell at it, you would throw rocks at it, and it would kind of slink away. But the minute you turned to walk back to school, it would come running back up towards you. And, it just seems like some of these embedded patterns are like that. Why do we do what we don't want to do? I've been part of different groups, recovery groups over the years. Some groups that I was in, they insisted that I call myself a sex addict or a porn addict. That's what you have to do to get free. Other groups says, no, that's a little strong. You can call yourself a recovering porn addict. Some Christians I know and talk to, they don't like the word addict or alcoholic or anything like that because it sounds to them like an identity and they don't want to define themselves that way. And I get that. But whatever you call yourself, for me, that's just nitpicky. You know what? I think we need to be honest about the struggle. At some point, things get embedded in our lives, and we find ourselves doing things that we know will hurt us and that take us farther away from the life that we say that we want. Now, I know there's people that just don't get this. Well, just stop. Well, just don't do it. You obviously still want to do it if you're still doing it, and they don't understand that the very nature of addiction is something that hijacks your willpower. And that's really what Lesson 2 in the Finding Traction course is all about. It explores the nature of addiction and helps you assess whether or not that describes your situation. So, if you're still peeing on the electric fence and think maybe this time you won't get a shock, or maybe even worse, you will, but you still keep peeing on it, then Lesson 2 will help you understand the nature of addiction and how to reposition yourself to head towards a better future. If you're listening to the Finding Traction podcast, you'll also find this on YouTube under my name, Vern Tomke. And I'd love it if either the podcast or the YouTube, you would go ahead and subscribe to this channel. You can learn a whole lot more about me by visiting my website, bandofbrothers.care. And you can get a number of free downloads by just going bandofbrothers.care/free-downloads. I always love to hear from people. Send me a note at bandofbrothers.care. So here's to recovery momentum in your life and the life you want. Till the next time, be safe.